Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Take Note and Move Forward podcast show. I am your host, Notes from Wanda, your forgiveness coach and silence breaker. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend and hopefully everything went well for you. I wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you so much to everyone who has purchased a copy of my book. The name of the book is called They Said That I Wouldn't Make It, But Here I Am. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and leaving your thoughts and your reviews about the book. I really appreciate it. So last week's podcast episode was about asking for help versus acting out. And in this podcast episode, I talked about how some people start acting out and hanging around the wrong people because they're trying to avoid the pain and the trauma that they went through. And the pain and the trauma that I speak about is rape, domestic violence, and or child molestation. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode of this podcast, please visit my website at notesfromwanda.com/EP16. Again, it's notesfromwanda.com/EP16. So in today's podcast episode, I wanted to talk about how I jumped into a relationship way too early and way too soon because I thought that that person was going to protect me from all the harm and the damage that I had been through before. I've been through a lot as a child, including child molestation, raped, and physically being abused. And there were other things that happened to me as a young adult, including I was raped again at the age of 23 or 24, I think it was. And for some reason, I thought that a man was going to be the solution to my problem. And I know you guys heard me talk about this before, especially if you follow me on social media. I talk about how you have to be careful when you decide to get involved with a person. And the reason why it's very critical is because it's not just for their safety. It's for your safety as well. Because sometimes when you jump into another relationship without understanding what that person has been through, you can end up putting yourself in a lot of danger. And that's exactly what I did. The person that I thought was going to protect me was the person that actually ended up attacking me. And this man was so kind. He was nice. And at the beginning, he brought me things and brought me food and, paid for every event and every restaurant that we went to. So I thought it was wonderful. I thought that that was my open window to escape all the pain and the trauma that I went through. And like I said before, you cannot escape your trauma. You have to actually find a way to deal with it, to heal from it. You can't run away and just push your feelings aside from it. It will come back in some kind of way. And that's exactly what happened to me. The first time that I noticed that this person was kind of, possessive and very controlling was when I decided to go somewhere without this person. And they kept calling and checking on me and asking me, was I okay? And who was around me and what, how long was I planning on being there? And at first I thought it was sweet and I thought it was kind. But then as I thought about it in the back of my head, I said, this may not be good. And sure enough, I was right. The first time that me and that person got into an argument, it escalated to a situation where I had to run in order to protect myself. The person actually ended up pulling out a bat on me and running behind me with the bat. And I was almost pretty much convinced that he was going to hit me with the bat. Did he ever catch up with me? No. I ended up running to the school campus that I was attending at that time. And I actually talk about this story in my book if you want to get the full details and the whole story about how it happened and how I was able to get away from him. But I was able to run onto a school campus and get help from a teacher that I knew who had helped me graduate from high school after I was going through a lot of other crazy stuff at home. So this person wouldn't go away after that, even after running behind me with the bat. It was the phone calls, the harassment, and popping up at my doorstep. In the back of my head, I was just like, how come I didn't see this coming? And the truth of the matter is that there was no way for me to see that this person was that way at first. However, the fact of the matter is that I wasn't ready to get into a relationship anyway, because I was running from a bunch of problems. And what usually ends up happening to you when you start running from your problems instead of facing them, you end up getting into another situation, and sometimes it's worse than what you've been through. I thank God that I was able to get away from this person the first time that they tried to run after me with a bat. But eventually he did catch up with me one day after school, and he hit me several times across the head. And if it wasn't for a store clerk coming outside and calling the police, I'm not quite too sure how long I would have been able to stand up, how much longer the bleeding would have continued to come from. It was the back of my neck that had got scratched up, and it was bleeding pretty bad. So the store clerk, where we were outside of a store, and he was just hitting me across the head several times, asking me why I wasn't returning his phone calls, and how come I thought I was going to be able to get away from him. All kind of craziness that just came out of the blue. I'm like, who is this person? And I was only in front of the store because it was the closest bus stop that I can get to. But unfortunately, that bus stop was close to where he lived, because the school that I was attending at the time was probably maybe like 5 or 10 minutes away. And unfortunately, that was the only alternative school at the time in the city and the county that I was able to attend in order to graduate from high school. So my point is that don't seek out a relationship to solve your problems. And the reason why I went so deep into this story today is to explain to you what can happen to you when you get involved with the wrong people for the wrong reasons. And like I said, I know I have talked about this before. And if you follow me on social media, you know how much I stress that you cannot use people and things to cover up your trauma. It just simply doesn't work. There are ways and there are healthy ways to cope with painful flashbacks and trauma. That way you're able to heal and you're able to move forward. And then eventually you can find a healthy relationship to get into. A man or a woman relationship is not the solution to your trauma. A man or woman relationship or whatever is not the solution to get over your past. It's not going to make everything disappear. That person is not your Superman, because the fact of the matter is, in order for you to be saved, you have to be willing to save yourself. Even if you choose to go before God to confess to him all of your sins, the point of the matter is you have to be willing to confess. and say what you need to say to God and ask for forgiveness in order for things to start to heal from within. You have to be willing. And it starts with you. You have to be willing to save you. And, I hope you guys are paying close attention to this information. And if you know anyone who can use this information, introduce them to this podcast, have them subscribe, and share this information with anyone that you know has been through all kinds of trauma, such as rape, domestic violence, and or child molestation. I'm hoping you guys tune in to the next episode to download my free action guide about ways and methods to cope with flashbacks and painful memories. You can download my free action guide at notesfromwanda.com/I'm ready. Again, it's notesfromwanda.com/I'm ready. Please continue to follow me on social media if you're not already doing so. On Twitter and Instagram is at Notes from Wanda. And on Facebook is facebook.com/Take Note, Move Forward. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.